wellness industry is booming.
It can be so hard to know what's really good for you and what just looks good for marketing.
There is an absence in the traditional medical system that we still aren't addressing.
Help us understand.
The first step is education.
We all do want to live longer.
Well, hey there. Welcome to Season 4 of Everything Lifestyle.
Every cell of your body needs sugar, glucose, to survive. And one of the big ones is your brain.
Be attuned to how you're feeling. Be attuned to your symptoms. Start asking some questions and start taking more ownership of your own lifestyle.
I think we need every strategy we can to help activate what we call the parasympathetic system.
This is Everything Lifestyle, your go-to lifestyle news magazine podcast, where the latest in health, wellness, and everyday living comes together with real conversations, expert advice, and stories that matter. Powered by Pattison Media. In this episode, we explore sugar, LED therapy, and the chase for longevity. I'm Linda Freeman. Let's jump in and navigate the world of wellness together.
It's sweet. It's seductive. Is it deadly? Tonight, the dangers of sugar.
I think that sugar is a main contributing factor.
Serious new warnings from serious people.
The more I learn about it, the more it scares me.
Also tonight, what the sugar industry has tried to hide.
Strategies that I thought the tobacco companies made up back in the 50s, actually some of those the sugar people had done even before that.
That was an eye-opening story that aired on CBC's Fifth Estate over a decade ago. And sugar is still in the headlines. From Canada's new front-of-package nutrition warning labels to growing concerns about how much added sugar we're really consuming. It's becoming harder to ignore what's hiding in our food. It's in our coffee, our pasta sauce, our yogurt, even foods marketed as healthy. And while most of us know we should cut back, we're still eating nearly twice the amount recommended by the World Health Organization.
The World Health Organization has long been urging countries to lower their sugar consumption to no more than 10% of their daily calories. But now it says 5% would be even better. The World Health Organization says it's more than just cavities. Heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and other health problems are soaring, it says, because of our high sugar intake. With today's Lifetime, I'm Pauline Chan.
So why is sugar so difficult to resist? Is it really addictive? And what is it actually doing to our bodies? Joining us is family physician Dr. Tasha Bienert, whose prevention-first approach helps patients make healthier choices before chronic disease takes hold. Today, she's separating fact from fiction and sharing simple, practical ways we can take control of the sugar in our diets. Welcome, Dr. Bienert.
Thanks very much.
Why is it so hard to give up sugar?
It's a hard one. Sugar, right? I think biologically we are driven to seek out things that are sweet. Historically, those were safe foods, often nutrient-dense foods. And so, this comes out of our biology. The problem with sugar is there's major health consequences of it, of course. And the other problem is it's in everything. So when we think about now, we've got this mindfulness around sugar and we've got new labels on our products that are telling us if something's high in fat, salt, sugar. We have an awareness, but I think that brings about a bit of difficulty in trying to limit it from our diet because it really is in everything. If you were to shop in the interior part of your grocery store, I would guess 80% of the products have added sugar. And that's because it's palatable. Mm-hmm. We like it. Makes things a little bit addictive.
Yeah, it keeps us coming back for more. And you said that word, addictive.
It is. Yeah. If you think about just the biology of sugar versus something like cocaine, they hit the same receptors in the brain, those dopamine receptors. It's causing that hormone in the brain to be released. Dopamine is a hormone that makes us feel really good. And so there's a reason to come back. The problem with sugar, which would be similar to some of the other addictive products is, for example, we have a piece of candy, it hits our brain, it feels good. We do it again, it hits our brain, it feels good again. So it truly is an addictive substance, yes.
It is so addictive. It's in everything, and it's really hard to break this cycle. And when we consume too much sugar, what happens in the body?
There's a lot of things that happen. And I think maybe we need to understand sugar is sugar. We have glucose and fructose, they're bound together. That would be the classic granulated sugar. Even if you eat an apple, it's the same thing. It's glucose and fructose. So its effect for the body is the same. The issue with sugar is how we're consuming it. If you are taking straight sugar, for example, I'm having a Coke that has a lot of sugar in it, there's nothing to stop that sugar from being absorbed through my stomach, and it goes straight to my blood. Whereas if you're consuming something like an apple, where that sugar is maybe bound up with fiber, how it affects our body is very, very different, right? It takes longer to be absorbed. What your blood sugar in your brain sees is very different, even though you've ingested sugar. The problem is, over time, if you're consuming enough sugar and you overwhelm the body with that process, that sugar has to go somewhere. So it's either going to stay and cause inflammation if it's high in the arteries over time, or it's going to be turned into fat. And if we think about fat, we know what that does in the body as well. It can cause obesity in the central area. We're more likely to put the fat in the visceral area that's around our organs. And that's the risk factor for heart attack and some strokes. You can develop something called metabolic syndrome, where your insulin isn't as effective. The cells don't respond to it. These are all very dangerous things over time.
It's incredible how much sugar is linked to different issues within our bodies and our overall health. We're told we need to reduce sugar, but yet it's so difficult for people to do. Why is it so hard to break this cycle?
It's so hard. I think some of it is we've perhaps gotten away from eating whole nutritional foods as much as we should. Part of it is consuming things that are easier to cook. You get home, you're tired, you want to put something on the table for yourself or your family. Sometimes these things come from boxes and there's extra sugar in there and not a lot of the other good stuff like the fiber or maybe the protein. And then the other thing, unfortunately, a big contributor of this is we've really gotten away from hydrating with water. Flavored beverages, high sugar beverages are everywhere. People consume a lot of sugar in places maybe they weren't expecting it to be.
Yeah.
And not realizing, if you take the Canada Food Guide, it's recommended we limit to 50 grams of additional sugar per day, or 12 teaspoons. That's kind of the most you'd want. It would be better to have half of that. But if you take a Starbucks Frappuccino, that's 20 grams of sugar right in one drink. Now, obviously, depending on the size, it can be more. So we need to be careful. One drink could use up almost all of your dietary additional sugar that you should have. And then you go home and you get your pasta sauce and you look at it and wow, there's another 12 grams in that. You went to put ketchup on your sandwich at lunch and there's sugar in that. Even your salad dressing. So I think we need to watch and be careful and choose.
What would you recommend for people who are really trying to stop this sugar cycle?
There are a few tricks. So often we'll recommend to patients, rather than completely, for example, stopping your flavored yogurt, maybe you mix it half plain, half sweet, and you can kind of decrease the sweetness of the products you're having and get your palate more attuned to a less sweet food moving forward. And that's one way over time you can slowly decrease the need for that real sweet palate. The other thing is there's spices you can use in replacement of sugar. Cinnamon or cardamom.
Yeah, both of those are so good.
Yeah, right? Vanilla. So you can put them in your cooking and that often as well. It replaces the need for something sweet over time. And so I think you can kind of wean off rather than trying to stop cold turkey. And often we say if we're making a change in behavior, maybe you insert it with something else. So if your behavior is to have dinner and always have, a piece of cake or a nice dessert, maybe every second night you go for a walk instead. And actually, walking is a good way of offsetting sugar.
There's been a lot of really good research lately talking about after a meal, and especially after anything with sugar, to get your body moving.
Yes. And the science behind this is so good. If you think about it, your muscles don't need sugar to be turned into any other form to use. They can take glucose and use it up right away. So if you go for a walk right after you eat, that glucose that's in your bloodstream goes straight to the muscles to power them, and it takes it out of your bloodstream. So you're not overloading your pancreas. You're not relying on insulin for that. So it's, a very good biological hack of how to lower blood sugars, and it's very effective.
So are all sugars created equal?
Sugar is sugar, but it is the packaging of it that's different. So I think if you take something like honey, although the glucose and the fructose is the same as you would get in maybe a processed sugar, it would come with perhaps some other things that have health benefits with antioxidants. It's what else is in the packaging of the sugar. I do tend to recommend those more natural sweeteners, even though it's still sugar, and we still need to be mindful of it.
I want to talk about the other side of the story, because we do need some sugars.
Yeah, exactly. We do need it. Every cell of your body needs sugar, if you will, glucose, to survive. And one of the big ones is your brain. Our brain is tiny, it's only 2% of our body weight, but it accounts for 20% of your glucose consumption. So it's true. You do need glucose to power your brain, to think clearly, to have sharp cognitive functioning. Obviously, glucose, we talked about walking after dinner, how your muscles use it, but you need it for proper muscle functioning. So if you're training for something, or even if you're just wanting to feel strong and effective in your workouts, you need glucose. It is an important nutrient for us to have to function properly. The problem we end up is if we consume too much. So I've been doing medicine for 2 decades now, and it's that real rule of moderation. We do need glucose. We should consume it and not feel badly about that. I think the empowering part of this discussion is we can control the excess sugar that's put into our products. There's lots of good ways we can still enjoy sugar. Our body wants it, but not have the health consequences of obesity and diabetes and cardiovascular disease, even things like dementia. It can cause all of these things. So we do need to be mindful. And I think that's why we say now sugar is the new smoking,
What are some of the things that we can do as parents to help our kids work through this, to show them a good example, whatever it happens to be, so that they don't become so reliant and go down that path at such an early age to crave this sugar?
One of the biggest things would be cut out anything that's a sugary drink. That's unnecessary. There's no place for any sugary drink, whether it's a pop or, even fruit juice, to be very careful with that. We should be hydrating with water for ourselves, and that's a great thing to model to our kids. Kids are good about carrying their water bottles now, and I think we need to continue to promote that.
Dr. Bienert, before we wrap, let's go over the top 3 things that we need to know about managing our sugar. Anything we've missed that you want to share?
If I could say 3 things around sugar specifically, I would say try to make your meals from scratch. Move 30 minutes a day. If you can exercise and get your heart rate up, that's even better. But I do think sleep is foundational. We really need to aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If we can eat whole foods, if we can move more, and if we can sleep more, I think that would really help us be a healthier population as a whole.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your perspective and insight on the wonderful world of sugar. Really appreciate your time today, Dr. Bienert. And next time, I'm looking forward to our conversation around stress.
Yeah, myself as well. Another great topic. Thank you.
Now, on a bit of a side health note, let's speak to type 2 diabetes for a moment. It's a condition affecting millions of people worldwide. And while sugar is often blamed, experts say sugar doesn't directly cause type 2 diabetes. But a diet consistently high in added sugars can contribute to weight gain, fat storage, and insulin resistance, which are the key risk factors that increase a person's chances of developing the disease. Now, over time, regularly consuming large amounts of added sugar, especially through sugary drinks, can place ongoing strain on the body's ability to regulate blood sugar, raising the risk of type 2 diabetes. Having an awareness of what is going on in your body can be key to improving your health. Coming up later on Everything Lifestyle, Dr. Jenny Ding will tell us her journey of discovering she was pre-diabetic. Social media is overflowing with lifestyle and wellness advice. Some helpful, some questionable, and some completely misleading. So how do we separate fact from fiction? Each episode, show producer Kat Cullen joins me for Health Tag, where we break down the trends, test the claims, and bring a little truth to the wellness world.
Is your red light mask actually doing something, or is it performative? I get this question so much by my patients, and this is what I tell them. Red light does work, but only if you use them consistently. Think of it as going to the gym for your skin.
Some people say they've completely transformed their skin, made their skin look healthier overall. Then other people will say that they spent hundreds on one, used it for a few weeks, and absolutely nothing happened.
Everyone asks me, what LED mask should I buy? And to be honest with you, most people are buying these masks based on influencer hype instead of actually looking into what truly matters.
Right, the almighty LED face mask. So have all those social media algorithms finally gotten to you, Kat? Because I know you want to try it.
They finally got me. Apparently my phone just decided I need one. Every second video was someone sitting under these red lights claiming that they're going to look 5 years younger. And some brands even claiming that their mask can reduce wrinkles by 30% and increase plumpness by 57% in just 4 weeks. So I'm like, those are big promises.
I've been seeing these too, and I actually did some digging into the medical journals because I was really curious whether or not these work. And it turns out the science is real, but it's not quite the miracle that some of the influencers make it out to be.
But it was developed by NASA. Isn't it supposed to be one of these wellness trends that is actually backed by science and technology?
Yeah, well, true. And that is a cool fact. NASA did develop it. But they didn't set out to invent medical light therapy. They actually did fund a development to find high-intensity LED lights for growing plants in space. And then during those experiments, which is really cool, scientists noticed that their own skin marks and abrasions were healing much faster because of this light. So that has now led to these red light therapies. So NASA's discovery does have real health benefits. But there is a catch.
Knew there was going to be a but coming. I knew it.
Well, the catch is the power of the device, Kat. The LED masks, for example, most of these at-home masks you see on social media operate at a much lower rate than the ones used in clinics. And quality is everything here. So if you need to do research, this is something that you want on the efficacy of what you're buying.
That actually makes sense because influencers never mention the strength of the device. They make it sound like a $200 at-home mask is going to be the same as a clinical treatment, which logically we know is probably not the case. And I mean, dermatologists aren't dismissing it completely either. I saw one interview on CNBC that said red light therapy actually helps promote that circulation, reducing inflammation, and can support, as you mentioned, collagen production. So there has to be a little something to it.
Well, yes, it can work with consistent use. Now, a randomized controlled trial published by Photomedicine and Laser Surgery did find that subjects experienced significantly improved skin complexion, skin feeling, and that collagen density. So hopefully it wasn't skewed. But anyway, you have to manage your expectations in something like this. You can't think it's just going to be this miracle. Oh my God, I'm going to look 20 years younger. And the other thing, too, is that side of it where they talk about curing medical conditions.
Yeah, most of what I've seen definitely sticks to the wrinkles and glowing skin. But now that you mention it, I have seen people online saying that it's been helping with acne and chronic pain. So definitely something to that.
Yeah, and that's the problem. So the UK Advertising Standards Authority, the ASA, just banned a bunch of LED mask advertisements because according to a BBC News report, they were banned for making unauthorized medicinal claims that they could improve acne and rosacea. The ASA stated that no medical claims could be made for the product because they aren't registered medical devices.
But what about the anti-aging stuff? I just want to look like I sleep 8 hours a night.
For anti-aging, it is promising, but it requires serious patience. Dr. Alika Haas, who is a dermatologist from the Mayo Clinic, she noted that while some clinical studies show benefits, the results vary and long-term studies are lacking. It's not a magic wand. It's not going to make everything look different, but it is part of a much larger skincare routine, Kat.
And that's fair. So I'll keep using it. I already paid for it. I may as well. And honestly, that 10 uninterrupted minutes where nobody asks me for anything, that alone is worth the price.
Now, as a busy mom, you might fall asleep.
I absolutely will.
But if nothing else, as you mentioned, it's a great excuse to ignore everyone for 10 minutes. Red light therapy, cold plunges, sleep trackers, and that barely scratches the surface. They're all part of a growing movement built around one simple question. Can we actually slow the aging process? The pursuit of living longer and living healthier while we do it has become one of today's fastest growing wellness trends. From fitness and nutrition to mindfulness and biohacking, the global wellness industry was worth an estimated $5.6 trillion in 2022, and it's projected to grow to $8.5 trillion by 2027. Now, surveys also show that 7 in 10 consumers in the US and UK are spending money on products and services aimed at healthy aging and longevity. At the same time, investors are pouring billions into research focused on slowing the aging process, with the longevity biotechnology market expected to reach $64 billion this year. Whether it's studying the habits of people who live past 100 or following the latest anti-aging innovations, the desire to extend both lifespan and health span has become a major cultural and scientific focus. According to the BBC News,
biohacking was once a fringe pursuit of Silicon Valley executives and elite athletes, but it's fast becoming big business. The idea is that precisely measured, often small adjustments to your physical routines and behavior can lead to major health benefits. It can even help you live longer.
A wave of new biohacking businesses is popping up in an industry set to nearly triple by 2030. Dr. Chuck Morris runs Midtown Biohack. He says that what used to be reserved for elite athletes is now for everyone.
In the beginning, I think people thought it was a bit of a luxury or an offshoot. It's on its way to becoming the standard.
One of his most popular treatments, a 10-second electric workout.
8, 9, 10. That was 100 crunches in 10 seconds, and I was just lying here relaxing.
That's the biohack.
Many of the habits promoted by the longevity movement, like regular exercise, healthy eating, quality sleep, and managing our stress, we know have decades of evidence behind them. It's the more expensive interventions, like supplements, hormone therapies, and experimental treatments, where researchers say the science is still catching up. There are some, however, who are taking longevity testing into their own hands. And you may have heard of tech millionaire Brian Johnson. He spends over $2 million a year trying to turn back time, and according to an ABC News feature, he will.
Right now, you can say with a straight face, you may not die.
You believe that?
Oh, there's no question.
And as an update, recently Brian Johnson was diagnosed with autoimmune gastritis, a rare, incurable disease. Now, researchers do question many of the methods in the biohacking industry. According to experts and researchers from institutions like the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health and Harvard Medical School, the hacks that actually drive cellular longevity, reverse biological markers, and expand your health span are fundamentally rooted in basic, disciplined biology, not the high-price trends and extreme experimental procedures. So, move your body, eat a balanced diet, prioritize sleep, sounding familiar? Manage stress, and talk with your healthcare provider before investing in the latest longevity trends. In the race to live longer, the biggest gains may still come from the basics, not the biohacks. Prediabetes occurs when your cells become resistant to insulin, or your pancreas doesn't make enough of it, causing your blood sugar to build up instead of being used for energy. The exact cause varies, but it's typically triggered by a mix of genetics, excess body weight, and inactivity. Now, she's a physician who focuses on lifestyle medicine. She was eating well and exercising, so how was she diagnosed as a pre-diabetic? This is Dr. Jenny Ding's story. This is Being Real.
My name is Dr. Jenny Ding. I am a lifestyle and culinary medicine physician certified through Harvard Medical School and also a practicing Canadian family physician. I started experiencing some vague symptoms of feeling a bit lightheaded after eating certain foods, some fatigue, some hormone imbalance issues as well, and mood swings. And I was a bit curious, so I asked my family physician for some blood tests and found out that unfortunately I was pre-diabetic, which really surprised me because there was no family history of this. And I, already working as a lifestyle medicine physician, thought I was already doing the right thing. I was eating mostly plant-based whole foods, exercising regularly, running 5, 10Ks, half marathons, yoga, etc. And so that diagnosis was very shocking, very surprising, and that kind of caught me off guard. And that is the turning point for me to start really thinking, okay, well, maybe what I thought I was doing is actually not what I need to be doing. It's about how you do what you do. And that might sound a bit intuitive. It might sound a bit basic, but really our body is a machine at the end of the day. And yes, we need to put in certain things like certain foods and use it in the right way. So you have to kind of dig down into the basics and say, okay, let's have a process to get it back under control. And typically, for the average population, we don't start screaming for things like diabetes and metabolic conditions until you're 40 years or older. So myself, I never thought, okay, this is something I need to be looking into, but I did just out of curiosity, and that's when I found it. And then after I went through my blood sugar journey, and actually when I was going through it, I looked to some of the statistics behind diabetes and prediabetes. So yes, age is a risk factor for blood sugar issues, but given our modern lifestyle, our diet, our nutrition patterns, etc., many more young people today in their 20s, in their 30s, have either prediabetes or diabetes, but we don't even know it. We're not aware of this because we're not paying attention and we're not asking to be tested. Be attuned to how you're feeling. Be attuned to your symptoms, start looking into it, to start asking some questions, and start taking more ownership, more control of your own lifestyle, your nutrition, and what you're doing on a daily basis, so that once you have an idea of what is going on, you can start making some changes, some gradual improvements to get it back on track.
Thank you for sharing your story, Jenny. For more information on Dr. Ding, you can go to kalehealth.ca. Across Canada and globally, demand for anxiety-related support continues to climb. Surveys from mental health organizations show that more than half of adults report difficulty concentrating, elevated stress, and persistent feelings of being overwhelmed. At the same time, sales of nootropics and cognitive enhancement products have surged, marketed as tools to sharpen focus and regulate the nervous system. Clinical therapist Claire Maisonneuve says the interest isn't surprising, but she cautions that these products only address part of the problem.
I think that as a race right now, humans need everything they can to help them be more focused in their thinking, be more alert, and have more clarity and have more concentration. So all these products that are coming up today and all these strategies, I think, are really important to help us use our brain to its maximum capacity. But also what it does is it helps us engage the nervous system. It helps calm the nervous system because of all the fear and anxiety that's going on in the world in this present time, I think we need every strategy we can to help activate what we call the parasympathetic system.
Maisonneuve says that while supplements and cognitive aids may support learning and clarity, they don't replace the deeper psychological work required to change long-standing emotional patterns.
I want to warn people that all those things are not a substitute for the work that we ourselves need to do within us through mindfulness, through meditation, because these products cannot take the place of activating our own will. Activating our will is something that happens when we meditate.
Her perspective aligns with emerging research showing that mindfulness-based interventions can reduce anxiety symptoms, improve your emotional regulation, and strengthen attention networks in the brain. Benefits that nootropics alone can't deliver.
Some of these experiences might elevate our understanding that there are higher levels of consciousness, but they're not going to take away our habit patterns of reacting with anger, frustration, impatience, resentment, meanness, unkindness. We need to do the work day to day. And that can only be done with using our capacity to introspect, to look at ourselves, to calm the mind, and to be focused, and to activate our will and our willpower.
Maisonneuve also warns that without intentional practices, many people fall into automatic routines, which is a pattern researchers say contributes to burnout and reduced cognitive flexibility.
Without mindfulness and meditation, I think we become a little bit like automatons in our daily life. We're not really living consciously. We're not thinking consciously. We're not focusing our attention where it's going to matter. Everything we need to live a joyful and happy life is inside of us.
Claire Maisonneuve is with Alpine Counseling Clinic. You can find her at anxietyandstressrelief.com. Life is challenging, so we're trying to make living well just a little bit easier and less complicated. Join us on the next Everything Lifestyle as we tackle stress and our health, breaking down the idea of shake plates and a personal journey of health that inspires and heals. I'm Linda Freeman. Let's connect again soon on Everything Lifestyle. You've been listening to Everything Lifestyle, an initiative powered by Pattison Media designed to inspire and motivate a healthy life. Everything Lifestyle is a Pattison Media and Everything Podcast production. Hosted, produced, and written by me, Linda Freeman Rourke. Showrunner and writer, Kat Cullen. Sound engineer, producer, John Massacre. Executive producer, Jennifer Smith. Production support, Eric Chapman. Video producer, Jordan Wong. For more information on this program, go to pattisonmedia.com and everythinglifestyle.ca.
The views, opinions, and advice expressed in this podcast are solely those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Pattison Media or the sponsors of this program.
Another Everything Podcast production. Visit everythingpodcast.com, a division of Pattison Media. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast.